Okay, so if you can see my screen, I think the first step is, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The first step is actually checking, so we'll be using Mongoose. I think I pretty much use Mongoose every time. Not too familiar with the normal MongoDB listen. What's it called? Okay, wait. So Mongoose, how can I hide this? Can I hide you? Okay, yeah. So first thing first, npm js.org/mongoose. I think they have their own website. So first off, go to Mongoose, and I'm not sure I've installed Atlas, but Atlas, no, I don't have it. So yeah, so mongodb.com. Oh, that guy. So first thing you sign in first. Well, I don't have it locally. That's why I just want to, get the connection string online. And then I think I can log in with Google, I think. So like that. So. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I hear you.
Wow. Okay, so I think I'm already logging in. All right, so yeah. Can you guys hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay,
we can
that's
hear you.
cool. So I'm coming. So let me just go back. So if you're coming in for the first time, of course you don't have you wouldn't have a database yet. So I think we need to create well, I think I have like 3 projects here. Just in case you don't have, you just create new project, right? And then let's see. So you create new project, then you give it a name, say test, and then next. So add members and set permissions. Well, since it's just me, there's no need. So there's no need for, since it's just me, I don't need to invite anybody. But in case you have somebody you want to invite, you can just invite the person, right? And then you can set their permissions here. So since it's just me, then they said me, that's you, that's me, you, me. Okay, and then you choose projects. You can choose permissions here, I think. And then you just basically create. Let's see. It might take a while for you to like set up the entire thing. Okay, yeah, we've created a project. We don't have a database yet, so we can just build one. Well, so you can just choose the one that best suits your project or so. So you can also choose free. You can create for free if you are not ready to start using it for any real application. And then this part here, serverless, dedicated, of course, is shared. And then you can choose any continent. Is this continent? Yeah, choose a country from this continent that best suits you, or the one that's closest to you. I think, where's Frankfurt? Frankfurt, yeah. Oh, I think this one is kind of closer to us. So you can set your cluster name, or if not, you can just leave it like this. If you don't, okay, one time only. Once your cluster is created, you won't be able to change its name. Well, so represent a name, cluster names can only, okay, so test cluster. Is available? Okay, so I don't think. All right. And of course, you can set some other settings there, but then I'm not doing that. So we just basically want to use it for testing purpose. That's it. You don't want to use it for a real application since it's free, because it marks out. But then maybe if you're using it for a test application or maybe a real application, and then later on you can then increase it, like upgrade it later on. So that's if you're already using it for a real application, or if you choose to use it for a real application and you start from free plan, I think along the way you can also maybe upgrade to a better plan. Okay, so it's taking its time to create. So your cluster is being created. New cluster take between 1 to 3 minutes to provision. Yeah, so you just have to wait for that. And also there are some settings here. Database access. So you can add new database user. I think it's network access. I'm coming. So add an IP address. Yeah, so you can add an IP address here. I think to be able to access this on your own PC. So this is kind of secured, Atlas only allows client connections to a cluster from entries in the project's IP access list. So if anybody's IP is not here, then basically the person won't be able to access this database, except you set it to maybe allow, I think like this to allow, so this entry is temporary and will be deleted in okay, that's if you want to like add a temporary user's IP, you can just add the person's IP here. So okay, this is it here. So basically just insert the person's IP here, and then you can add the comments like maybe a person's name or something, and then you can choose if it's going to be temporary. You can choose the duration that the person is going to be like having access to this. So the duration, and then if you want the person to be connected for life, of course you can disable this, and then just confirm it. So I don't know, it seems this is my IP. So add current IP address. So this is my IP. So I can say maybe my IP, and then just confirm it. And I think database access. So in case you can create a user here. So you can create a user, password authentication. So I think this is, okay, this is username. So I'm just going to say Remilekun password. Well, I don't know this password. Well, you can choose to generate random passwords. I'm just going to keep it simple here. So this is kind of simple enough for me. Well, I'll read write to any database, Atlas admin. Yeah, I can call it admin. Restrict access to specific cluster, data lake, also temporary user. So this, I think, enable to specify the resources this user can access. Okay, let me see. So of course you can select, I think, a cluster. If you have multiple cluster here, you can select maybe this user. You can just give this user like a permission to a specific cluster, if not all the clusters. But for me, so this, I created this cluster. I called it test cluster earlier, and I think that's the only cluster we have here. Well, so I'm just going to like say I'm just going to turn it off. And then if this user is going to be temporary, I think you can specify that here also. So maybe in case you didn't turn it on, then you can turn it on here. So add user, save. So database users, custom rows. All right, so I've never, course, there are some things you can also turn off here, but be careful this area. So I'm just going to go to database, and so we have our test cluster. I think it's still creating also. So we are deploying your changes. Okay. So the changes we made, they're helping us to deploy it. Okay, but yeah, let's visualize this. So we have an overview of it. So yeah, basically the most important part here is this collections. So these are going to be like, I think, the tables or so. Let's see. Add my own data. So database name, right? Let's call it okay. Well, I don't really know what to call this database, but yeah, we can call it testDB. TestDB, right? DB. So yes, now we have a database name, right? You know, database like a NoSQL database. No, let's actually use an SQL database for an example. This is a NoSQL database. So an SQL database has a database name and also has tables name, right? So consider this an example. So we have a database here, right? And then this collection name is basically tables name. When it comes to an SQL database, it's basically tables name. So our own is going to be collection name. So the database is like the big guy, right? And then you can have multiple tables beneath it. So we have a testDB, and then we have, let's call this user. Well, if we call it user, actually let's call it users. But if we're working on our command line and in our project, right? Maybe via our code, let's assume we're using Mongoose. If your collection does not have like an S, as if it's not a plural, by default, when you start using it, when let's say when it gets created, right? When the collection gets created, MongoDB by default would add an S for you. In fact, they will. You're always adding an S to it. So let's just stick to that. Let's just call this users. Yeah. So we'll create our database and also create a collection for it. So as you can see here on the left-hand pane, so we have testDB, and then we have one collection underneath. So we have our first database right here. So you can insert here, of course. This is the table, right? This is actually a collection, but I'm just calling it a table so that I don't know if you've heard of an SQL database. It uses, tables. So instead of having collection like this. So actually MongoDB, it's a NoSQL database. So that means it's a key value pair database. So that means that it saves data in a JSON format, right? So it has a key and a value. So let's just, we can actually play with it here. Insert document. Sorry. Okay, guys, so okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So where are we? So guys, please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we've taken off some things we don't need here inside of this object. So let's check our schema here. So we have our schema, as you can see. We destructured schema and model out of Mongoose. So we have our new schema. So we have an instance of schema, and then we pass in, what's it called? We pass in a name. Since it's an object, of course, we want to have a key and a value, right? So we have a name key assigned to an object. We set the type of this field, that's this object. I mean, this key, we set the type to string, we set it to required, right? And then we trimmed it. So before this value gets passed in, before the actual value is going to get passed in, it's going to be trimmed first. So same for email, and then email is unique, as you can see. So we don't have two emails. I mean, we don't have like an actual email repeat itself. No repeated emails. So any repeated emails is going to like resolve into an error. So we have password, type is string, and it's required. Status, type is string. We have a default value for it, and then we are trimming it also. So for created arts, the type is date, and then it has a default value. So the date.now basically means that, okay, whenever a document is inserted, create a date for it, and then the date is going to be the actual date, including the milliseconds of that particular time it get created. Likewise, update. So we have updated that, same thing for it. Okay, so this is a schema, right? Well, we're actually going to pass in an object. Yeah, so we're actually going to pass in an actual object that represents all these things we've declared here, and it's going to follow this pattern. So we call model. So model is actually going to take in the first parameter of this model is the actual collection name here in MongoDB. So as you can see, we have a collection, and then we have a name here. So we have testDB. This users is a collection. So the collection we set here, where is it? The collection we set here, that's the name we set here for model, is going to actually be the one to appear here in MongoDB when we insert a data. So we're going to see that in a minute. Okay, I think we're having an error here. Our new schema is not a constructor, right? Okay, so let's check our documentation here. So I don't actually know why this guy is not minimizing. Okay. Go page up. Wow, we've gone far. Okay, so let's see an instance. So new schema, right? Oh yeah, sorry. No, I think I know where the problem is. So this is supposed to be capital letter. we're supposed to extract the capital letter. Like Schema is a class, so the first letter of any class is always capital letter. So Schema like that. Check here again. So we don't have that error again. Cool. Yeah, we don't have the error again. Okay, so we're done here. Let's move to our user controller. Okay, so now we already have the data to pass into our model, right? Okay, so now let's create the user data. Yeah, so let's, where is it? So down here, instead of account db.push, we take away this push, saves the user in the DB. So it's going to be, I think it's user model, right? Okay, user model dot create, dot create, the passing the object we want to put inside of it, which is this user object right here. So let's pass that in. Is this returning a promise? Here, let's see, dot then. So yeah, I don't know if you've actually talked about promises, but if we're working with database, yes, you need to get familiar with promises. So there are actually two ways of resolving promise. Are they just two? Well, I know of two ways we can use to resolve promises. Okay, so you can either use async and await or use then and catch, right? Use dot then. So, okay, so since we have async here, right? Don't forget, also I think our joy schema is also returning a promise. So we use await to resolve it. So we can actually use the same pattern here. Let's use the same pattern here now. So I'm going to say const user data, no. So created user equal to await, take off these guys. So await user model or create. So if there's an error, I think it's just going to throw it up in our face, right? So we should have a catch block here. So we have a try here. So we should also have a catch. So we have a catch here to catch any error, right? But now we need to be decisive, or we need to be careful. So we have too many stuff throwing error inside of here. And then inside of our catch block here, we're already having res.status, assuming that is only one type of error we are expecting, which is joy, because we have error.details, that's joy. So joy's error is always having .details. So now we need to be careful. So we need to first check if error.details if there's an error and that error has a .details, what's it called, property, right? Then we want to like respond with this type of error. That's, we know that, oh yeah, that this is actually a joy error, because joy error always have .details. But then if it's not, that's else. Then we can say rest dot what can we say here? Should we say 403? What is 403? What status is 403? Has it bad input? Okay. Let me hide. I'm sorry. I'm coming. Let me just. So check if 403 status code. So meaning access to the request resources forbidden. Okay, 403 is forbidden. What about 401? Unauthorized, I'm sure. So 400, I think, is bad input. So what was it? What was this kind of error? Bad request, right? Okay. Should we tell them bad request, or there's an error, right? Wow. I'm not sure yet. So let's just say 400. error, okay, false, error dot message, right? Just like that. Okay. So now let's come back here and make sure we are creating our user. So user model dot create. So afterward, console.log created user, and then we can return this actual user. Okay, so when we create this user, we also need to like insert some things inside of our profile. So in this our schema now, that means we're also going to create a profile schema. So const profile schema, right? Schema. So new schema. So let's check our profile schema. What's it like? Huh? Okay. Wow. What's going on? Profile. Where's profile? Okay, this is it. It has a name, email, and created at. Okay, so basically we can just copy some things out of here. So copy this guy. Copy it. Now we need to copy this created at part. Created at. Okay, so we have name and then type required true, trim, email, the same thing. Created at, the same thing. So this is the actual place. Then this is the actual place we can do something like account info, and then we set it to something like account info. So we have, is it ID account info? We set it to maybe ID, and then it's going to have I think it's schema dot types, something like this, dot object ID, something like this, and then we have ref equal to user, account. So, but then let's not, this is going to be, well, I don't want this to be too complicated, right? So I'm just going to take it off. So in the next tutorial, when we have like maybe a full house, we get to talk about it so that the rest can also benefit from it, and then they can also throw in their questions. So let's just not do it for now because of this, well, for the sake of the rest. Okay, so this email now is going to be what we are going to be using to be searching the actual user. So once we get the user ID, right? Once we get the user ID, we should use, okay, when they are signing in, we actually use the email to fetch the user, and then also use that same email to fetch their profile. So yeah, that's the reason why we are having email here and also email in the account data, in the account collection, right? This musician is here again. Okay, so we also export profile schema, right? Okay, so user profile. So this is user model, right? This is profile model. So it's going to be profile schema. Sorry, profile. Can't spell. Profile schema. Let's show it's the same thing with what we have here. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, so come to the user controller. Oh, guys, sorry, please. I've not been asking if you have questions. Please, do you have any question?
None for now. I'm still following.
Okay. So yeah, Abiola, is everything clear? We have two Abiolas here. Okay, the two Is everything fine? Mr.
Yeah, everything
Abiolas.
is fine. Everything is
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. So you guys are following. That's cool. So let me hide this guy again. Okay, so yes, let's continue. Now this is the big part here. The big part here is to create the user, created user. So it's also created profile. Take that guy off, profile. So we pass in profile, right? But then we need to trim profile. Yeah, just take away this created out and updated out. Take away the ID. So yes, like that. So also the created profile. Like that, right? Okay. Wow. All right. Now let's see. Profile.push. We don't need this part, yeah. So let's actually move this down here. Paste it here. And then take this guy, paste it down here. Wow. Okay, so like that. So token JWT.sign ID. Wow. So it's going to be created user dot ID here. So encrypt user ID. So ID created user dot ID. So after it saves the user, it returns the data, right? So we use that, we get the ID from data, but the ID is going to have underscore. So after saving this, after creating this user, we are logging into the console here, so we'll be able to visualize everything. So this implementation stays the same. It's just to edit some parts there. So data.email, where is this data coming from? Where is this data coming from? Wow, okay, I think it's here. Okay, it's coming from here, right? Yeah, it's coming from that part. Well, actually, we could have a dot then so that we are sure that, well, we are going to get an error here if an error occurs and it's going to be thrown out of this try block. So there's no need to be scared. So we get created user.id .underscore ID. We can actually do created user.email. So let's do that. Okay, so the token we encrypt here, that's what we're sending out. So everything stays the same here. So yeah, all right, let's just go ahead and test. But let's see our console here. So we have some errors here. So cannot overwrite accounts model once compiled. Whoa, okay, let's see. So that's where line 6 in user. Okay, so line 6, search for 6. Whoa, are you sure? I'm not sure it's from here. So user model. Oh, we didn't bring in profile model. Profile model. Well, I'm sure that's not the error. That's not the issue, is it? So here, index dot model user 59. Okay. So G59, 59. Oh, so I think it's somewhere here. Oh, but there's nothing here. Oh, this thing is deceiving, yeah. Okay. I'm not getting the exact thing I wanted. So model once compiled, 6. Cannot overwrite accounts. Model once compiled. Okay. Okay. I think we have an issue. So let me just and this run it again. Okay, so model account. Oh yeah, we should change this to profile. Profiles. So the model, I actually did it twice. So profiles, mode, accounts, profiles. All right, so that's cool. Let's check. I'm sure we won't be having that error again. So there's no error again. All right, that's cool. So now let's start testing. Where is our postman? Yeah. Should we use Insomnia? Okay, let's use Insomnia. Yeah, open it. Let's check the route again. So I have to be sure. Let's check the route. Oh yeah, this app. I should actually delete this app. So it was what we used for testing. What's it called? Cloud. Is it? NodeMailer actually. Yeah, NodeMailer. Okay, so we have get slash, and then we have profile. We have user upload image. Okay, so we have user sign up. Cool. All right, so I think it's here, authentication. Create user accounts. Yeah, create user. So let's initiate this. We send. It's loading. Nice. We've not actually connected Mongoose. So I just remembered. Let's see, do we have an error here? So Mongoose error operation accounts.insert one timed out. So that's cool. So let's do it here. Should we? Okay. Come in, let me see. Yeah, let's do it in our index part here. It's our index routes, right? So we just const mongoose require mongoose. So basically connect to MongoDB. So let's connect to MongoDB. So it's going to be mongoose.connect. Okay. So what's this? Opens Mongoose default connection to. Okay, that's gone off. So I'm just going to what's it called? So yeah, let me just copy this connection string here. So I go to test connect application, right? Copy this guy, come back here, paste it in here, paste it in. So I think the password is just 389. Yeah, very simple like that. Well, so I allowed just me to be able to connect. So if you try to connect to this connection string, you might not be able to connect. It might throw an error. So our database is test DB, I think. So save it like that. Yeah, I think that's it. So now let's try it again. Okay, so we get bad request. Yeah, this is coming from that part where we did. So let's check the code. If we go back to our user controller, so the part we are getting that error from is here. You know, we first check if the error has .details. So if it has .details, we know it's actually from Joy. But if it does not have, it's going to come to else part here, and then we see that message, and then the status is 400. So if we go to our Insomnia now, we get the status of 400 here, bad request. That's not supposed to be it. I think we're supposed to even log maybe 5,000 or so. So we're supposed to set it to maybe 5,000 for them to know it's like a server error or something. So in fact, as a matter of fact, let me change that here. So I'm just going to say 5,000 or something. Okay, so now we've connected that stuff to MongoDB. If our connection string and our password is right, we should get, okay, so account validation failed. Password is required. But then we have password here. We're still getting 500. So this is coming from, so this time I'm very much sure that this is coming from, what's it called? Mongoose. So we get, okay, password is required. Account validation failed. So symbol Mongoose. And we already see the tag here. So Mongoose, we know it's from Mongoose. So let's check. So it seems our password is not being inserted or is not getting. I think we didn't pass in the password, did we? So we have password here, right? Let's check back. I hope it's not from profile because, so we didn't pass in anything like password in profile. So password type string required true. So I don't know what's going on, but I should enter user controller and log in password here. So console, let me just log password to the console here. Actually, let's log the entire user object. So create the account again, check our console this time. We get it here. So why are we getting? Oh yeah, so now we are having Mongoose server error, duplicate key error collection. Now the test db/rm.account table, that's the account schema. We have email 1. So duplicate key, email with Remile Coilenja, something, yeah, right? So it has actually created this user for us before we got that error. So the user has been created. So now let's go to our MongoDB. Let's go and visualize it now. So let's open this test cluster, go to collections. I'm sure we will have all our collections here. So we have accounts and we have profile. So we've successfully created this user. So you can see the user information here. We have their ID here. As you can see, the ID has an underscore. So we have ID, we have name, we have password, we have status. So in fact, if he saved everything here, including the password, but then we got an error relating to password. So we got that error. I don't know why, but yeah. So what we're going to do is delete this user now. So we can just simply delete the user from here. So cancel, then just highlight over these and click delete and then delete the user. So also I need to go to index because we already have an index created here for the user. So drop this index. So this index might still be having information about the first user. I don't know. Like, is this ID? Can we delete you? I think not. So for the profile. Oh yeah, so anything did not actually insert inside of profile. Wow, that's weird. Okay. Let's check here again. So sorry guys, we kind of have some. Okay, so we can also check for the type of error. So if the error includes maybe duplicate key or something, then we can tell the user that this account already exists or something. So we have user model.create. That's password now, right? Password. Let me check here. Password. We're not spelling it wrongly, are we? No. So account user schema. I'm surprised. So password like that. Well, okay. Create await user model that create a profile await. Oh, I did await user model here too. So it's actually supposed to be profile model. So I think that's where the error even came from. So created profile, created user. Okay. So I think, and also it seems I've changed my, what's it called? I've deleted that account I created for the email, the email while we're setting up the email config here in this utils folder. So this password, I don't think this password exists no more. So I'm not expecting us to even get any message, to send any message to the user while we're creating the account. So we're going to fix everything in our next tutorial, right? So let's just make sure this is working now. Yeah, we get 200, okay. So user created successfully, right? Now let's check our, so I think the reason why we're unable to see any data inside of profiles before was because we didn't actually use profile model to create profile. So yeah, now we have our profile data here. We have the name of the user, the email, and then the created at and updated at. So if you check the accounts, we also get all the information here: name, email, password, status, and the rest of them. So yeah, well, we've been able to create our first real data in our database. So yeah, that's it. And for login, of course, we can use the same pattern, right? So instead of just having user model.create, so we are done here. For this part, let's just take off this console.log here. So we can also see our console here for those stuffs. So yeah, we have those information here. Yeah, we have those information here. So ID, new object ID, yeah. So do you guys have any questions, please? Do you have any question?
Yes.
Wow, now I get yes. Okay, show it.
Okay, I want to ask, is it safe to save your password directly on the body of the schema? Just like where you, from the connection where you enter the password to your database.
Oh, it's not safe. Oh, it's not actually safe. So I did this because I'm still going to delete this. I'm going to delete it after this tutorial, or I could even leave it because though there's no any, this is not actually my real password. It's just a random number. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a number, one of my old number. Okay, it's not safe. Okay, so let's do it this way now. So I don't know if I've talked about .env before. So that's actually a way of having an environment variable. So let's install that guy. So of course, we can have a visual of it first. We can check it out first on npm. So npm.js.org/.env. So you can check it. So please, you can be noting them down, the tools that we're using. We've used Mongoose, and now we're using .env. So, okay, so let's just read about it. So .env is a zero dependency module that loads environment variables from a .env file into process.env. Forgive my English. Okay, storing configuration in the environment separate from code. Separate from code is based on the 12-factor app methodology. Well, you can explore that yourself. But basically how to install it, npm install.env require, so as early as possible in your application, require and configure.env. So require.env.config. So doing that is just basically going to load all those your environment variables straight up inside of the file where you required it. So this is how it's going to look like. That's the .env file when we create it. It's just going to look like this. db_host, then you set to the password and you set it to the value like that, like that, like that. So then you can do db.connect host. I think this is for, who knows, maybe an SQL database also, like a relational database. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. We're going to actually install it. So where is it? Break this server, npm install.env. Yeah, DOTENV. Don't be like the other guy that was spelling node moon instead of node moon. Okay, so .env like that. It's actually one of our students too, and for me, it's more like the serious. It's very serious. Not like the most serious student do, but he started fresh. He had no idea of programming, I think, of NodeJs, but now he's doing great. And I think he's in stage 6. So you know that this person is actually doing great. Okay, so let's start our server, npm run dev. Like that, we have it installed. So we come over here. We basically just in our root directory, we create a new file called .env like that. So notice the file name, just .env. There's no actual file. There's no name actually. It's just an extension, .env. So let's call this MongoDB _URI equal to, paste that value here. Actually, you can assign it to a string or just, pass it in like this directly. So yeah, Mr. Martins.
I'm with you.
Yes, I saw your repository. You made a mistake. You pushed node modules to your GitHub repository. It's a very bad practice.
Yes, I just observed later because when I was doing the assignment, I was now working directly from there instead of, and there was no git ignore for me to.
Yeah. So
That was
this yeah. Now this .env that we created here, you also want to ignore it. You don't want to push it to GitHub so that anybody exploring your repository will not go and take all your stuff. So this is just for here is for development here. But then later on, when you deploy to your server, you want to add all these things to your environment variable there. So you just basically the name is just going to be MongoDB URI, and then you paste this value that you assigned to it here. So that's it. I think we should also talk about installing what's it called? Hosting our project. That's maybe on Heroku. So yeah, let's go into our file. Where are we? Okay, we did it inside of index.js, right? So here now, after having your .env here, you want to require that .env extension we .env package we installed. So for this, you don't need to assign it to any variable. Just call your require, wow, capital letter. So load environment variables from .env file. So require just like this. you know, they gave us a way of doing that here too. So this is just it's require.env like this .config. So yeah, just like this. Or you can, I think you can also do something like /config like this, and it might work for you without having to attach the .env, the .config, this what's it called, method. So you can do it like this and it still works. So here now, you want to do process.env dot your MongoDB URI, the one. Let's go back to config here and let's go back to .env. Just copy this guy here. That's the name of the what's it called? The value. Or yeah, so just paste it here. So process.env dot the name of the actual environment variable you want to get. So this is it, MongoDB URI. Save it. If we save, okay, so we did not even check for something. We did not actually test our connection before we even started using it. So let's go to, where is Mongo? Okay, let's go back to Mongoose website, Mongoose.js. So you see the way they tested it here. Wow, it's not here. What's going on? Okay, so let's go to, can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, wow. It used to be here. Okay. Actually, I've even forgotten all these things. I think I've been using SQL database too. I've been using it lately and I've even forgotten how to. Oh God. And this man is drunk. Okay, so yeah, that actually I wanted to. So when we do mongoose.connect, I think don't we have access to a callback function? Yeah, we have a callback function. So okay, it takes in error. It's actually a callback function, right? So in this part here, you can check if there's an error. If error, then console.log error.message. So that's if there's an error, you can have your error there. Else, we can just log connected to MongoDB. So we actually know that, oh yeah, MongoDB has been connected. So if you check our console here now, okay, server started, we get connected to MongoDB. That's cool. So we are able to, we've successfully connected to MongoDB, and then we can start writing MongoDB, can start sending data down there. So that's just basically it. So mongoose.connect, you bring in your MongoDB URI, and then you test it here to see if it's connected or not. Okay, so that's it. That's it for this tutorial. So in the next tutorial, we are going to actually implement things that we've not implemented. So yeah, we just did create user, right? Well, okay, so let me just give us a quick assignment. This is not going to be like an official task, right? It's just for you to actually practice this entire thing we did today here. So I want you guys to go now. And as a matter of fact, you are going to submit the link to me. Just send it to me on Slack. So I want to actually see you guys test this thing. So, and the assignment is going to be on the create user, right? So when you create the schema, you use it to like send data to MongoDB. After doing that, of course, we've done the create user part here, right? But the assignment is for you to implement the create user and also the sign in part. So also for the sign in. So basically, when this information comes in from the login page, you just get it out here, and then instead of account DB that we have inside of our model, the old database we have inside of model, basically it's going to be model. It's going to be account model. I think did I call it account model? Okay, it's user model. It's going to be user model dot find one. So dot find one, and then you pass in your email. The first parameter is an object. You pass in your email. You pass in your email, right, for the first parameter. And then the second parameter is a function, a callback function, which basically takes in error and success, what's it called? So it takes in error and then success parameter. So that's the part I call success, is the actual user information from the database. So user model will find one, you pass in your email as an object, then it finds it. So email equal to email. And then the second parameter is a function, callback function, that takes in error as the first parameter. That's the first argument, is the error. And then the second one is the actual user information. So you basically want to check. So if there's an error, you can then maybe res.status.404.json user not found, like that. So it's not going to be, so basically want to tell them that, oh, user not found, because you told user model to find this user email inside of the database. If you get the user information, it brings it back as the user, but if not, it returns it as an error. So basically, you want to just say user not found. So that's if there's an error, but if there's no error, so you say else. So you say else, afterward, you test for the password. So afterward, you test for the password. So now you can log console.log user, and then you have the user information from the database directly coming from MongoDB. So here you can just basically do your check here if the password matches. I think is so it's just going to be const pass equal to I think it's going to be bcrypt, right? Bcrypt dot compare sync, compare sync. And then the first argument is the password that the user brings in. Then the second argument is the actual password obtained from the database. So you use it, easy to test. And then you can say your if pass to know if it's true or not. That's if the password matches or not. So if the password matches, then you can then issue the token. That's what are we doing wrong here? Okay. Yeah, save to format it. Okay, so after getting the correct password, you just scroll down and check your JWT. So this is the actual part where, okay, this is the part where we tested where we check if the user email matches. So in this case now, you see we are using user.email. If it's matched, we are testing if it matches here. But then this is because we are using our own custom database here. But since it's coming from the server, since we have a database, basically we just find it in the database. So we see that if it gets the user information, then that means the actual user exists. And then we proceed to doing our checks. So basically all you want to do is, we've actually done this is password part. Just copy all these guys and paste it inside of it. So if password, so this if is password, then we issue the token. We generate the token and then send it out to them and say user logged in successfully. So that's basically what you are going to do as an assignment, the rest part of it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for staying back with me. Please, if you have any question, we're going to implement all these things together, but then take it as an assignment first. So we'll come back on Thursday, I think, or rather Friday. On Friday, we'll come back on Friday and then we'll finish it up together. Okay, guys, so that's going to be all for now. Please, do you have any question?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, I know I was trying to like follow you as you are doing it, but I don't know how to. For the Atlas, there's user and password. Are we supposed to put the user we created? Wow.
Okay, you've downloaded the Atlas, or you are doing it online on MongoDB?
I'm doing it online.
Okay, doing it online, you don't need to insert all those things there by yourself. All you have to do is sign up, create what's it called? Okay, wait, you mean the part where I
Yes, where there's
oh,
user and password. Yeah.
yeah, you should create a user account there. You should create an account for yourself. So that's the account you're going to be using to be connecting. Okay, so let me show you guys that part. So if I go to my .env now, you see if I go to my .env, there's actually a username here. This name here is actually the one I created there on Atlas there. And then this password was the user password. So imagine you don't have that. How are you going to connect here? So it's pretty much important. So create an account for it. And then also put in your IP so that it's not going to bounce you out each time you're trying to connect. So I think there's an access something, I've forgotten the name. There's an access stuff there. So I don't know if I can walk you guys through it again. So I'm already logged in here. So, okay, so this is it, network access. You come to network access. You add an IP. I've already added mine. You add an IP, so allow access. So if you want multiple people to be connecting, that anybody can connect from anywhere, you can just click allow access from anywhere, and then the port is going to be like this. So the IP is going to be like this, and then you can click confirm. But it's not secure to allow access from anywhere. So I already have my own IP there already. So that's why it did not show me that part of add current IP. But in your case, you might see it's add current IP. So you add your IP, and then you can just give it a comment. It's optional though. So for this database access, that's where you create an account for yourself. And then you can set the role to be admin. So as you can see here now, I have my name here, which is the one I showed you just now inside of my VS Code. And then MongoDB role, I set it to be the admin because it's me. So I'm the admin of myself, of my account. So that's just it. You need to do all those things. So after doing that, for connecting, you just come to database. You click on the cluster name you created. No, sorry, click on connect. Then you can either choose any of these. You can copy, or well, I don't think this, okay, so this one, if you download Atlas, on your system, I don't know, it might be, okay, slow down. Windows. So it could be maybe, what's it called? Copy, download Mongosh, copy, I'm coming. I have MongoDB shell installed. You can copy this. See, no, I'm coming, sorry. Where is that guy? So there are actually 3 options there. So you can choose, I think one is for connect using MongoDB Compass. Yes, if you have MongoDB Compass installed, you can just copy this. When you copy it, paste it inside of the MongoDB Compass, and then you can change the, okay, of course, yeah, this is the database name, right? So everything is going to be, but I think you might want to pass in your password after that. So just pass in your password to be sure it's you. But then if you are not using that, of course, you already know what to do. Just connect using the application, connect your application. So you click it, you copy this connection string here, or you can either do it this way. Then this password part, you're going to delete even this greater than and less than sign, delete it off, and then put in your password. And then for the database, you just change my first database to your database. Please don't remove this question mark here. It's required. I think it's a query. Yeah, it's a query. So retry writes true and W equals to majority. So it's a query there. If you delete it, of course, it's not going to work. It might not work. Let me not say it's not going to work. It might not. Okay, guys. So I believe I've answered that question. So do anybody have any question?
No, from me.
Okay. Mr. Martin said no. Yeah, Mr. Abiola, the second
No,
Mr.
for me
Abiola.
too. Yeah.
Okay. So how about the original Abiola, the first one?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine now.
Okay. So just in case you have any question or any other questions, right? Maybe along the way while trying to get it done, you can message me or leave the message in the mentor's web. Yeah, ask a mentor or something, or you leave it in our NodeJs channel on Slack. Okay, guys. So yeah, I think we've tried here today. Thank you so much, guys, for being here with me. All right, I'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you on Slack. And please don't forget the assignment, please.
Okay.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye. Good night.
Yeah, good night. So I can stop sharing now. Mr. IK. Okay, so I think he's not here. All right, guys, good night.